All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Dayna Thompson, the director of the Brown Planetarium at Ball State University. I'm excited to wrap up our third week of our Your Universe series. This week was all about planet Venus, and we're going to be exploring Venus even more today and maybe a little bit tomorrow. But right now, we want to give you a tour of the sky and how to tell you how to find Venus in your sky tonight. Right now in Muncie, it's a little overcast, but the weather forecast tells us that it's going to be clear tonight. So hopefully that'll be the case. But we're going to give you a tour of Venus, including an experience, how to find things like black holes in the sky too, or where they would appear, as well as things like multiple star systems. But this week was all about planet Venus. And we do have our planetarium show specialist, Rachel Williamson, with us today. She's going to be moderating the chat and telling me if there's any questions that come up or checking out your answers to my questions that I ask. So with that said, if you have any questions or responses to my questions, just drop them in the chat. We'll really appreciate it. All right, so we're going to switch over to our sky software, Stellarium. And Stellarium is free and absolutely available to anyone who wants it. So if you go online and you search for Stellarium, you should be able to get to a download of this program. And what this program does, it's kind of like what our planetarium does at Ball State. It shows the sky any time of day, any time of night, any place on the planet. And it can show you the sky plus or minus 10,000 years or so. So it can really do a great job of recreating the sky. And right now we have it set up for Muncie, Indiana around 4 o'clock this afternoon. And we are showing a simulation of the sky right here, as well as the ground here. So we have where our pretend ground meets our pretend sky. We call that the horizon. And on our horizon, we have these letters here. We have S for south, we have SW for southwest, and we have W for west. And we have our beautiful clear sky, our blue sky up above our heads. Of course, we know this is just a simulation, so it's not showing all of the weather that we're experiencing in Muncie. It is overcast right now, but hopefully by about 4 o'clock, what this is showing here, it'll be pretty clear. All right, but we do have our sun shining bright in the sky and our blue sky. Well, if you've been watching our videos recently, you might know what we can do in order to see the sun at the same time as the stars, the planets, and other things in the sky. We can turn something off, right? Do you remember what we can turn off to see the sun at the same time as the stars and the planets in the sky? Well, our Earth is surrounded by air, right? Our atmosphere. And that's what scatters the light from the sun, and it makes it impossible or pretty impossible to see those objects. So what we can do in Stellarium is turn off the atmosphere, and we can do so in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. And now we can see the sun at the same time as the planets and the stars in the sky. So of course we can't do that in real life, but for our simulation here and to explore our sky, we can do that. All right, so we're gonna wanna find Venus here. Venus is up in the sky right now, and it is the brightest thing besides the sun in the sky. It is right here. So here's planet Venus. We can highlight it and be sure that it's Venus here because it tells us in the software that it is Venus. And I want you to try to figure out how Venus looks as it orbits, or how the orbit looks from our location here on Earth. So this is our view from Earth looking towards the sun, towards the planet Venus. Now, how do you think Venus orbits the sun here? Do you think Venus orbits in a path like this around the sun? Or do you think Venus maybe orbits more like this around the sun? From our perspective on Earth. Well, we can actually show the orbit and see what the orbit of Venus looks like from our location here on Earth. And I'll explain why we're doing this in just a moment. But let's check it out. Let's see how Venus orbits the sun in 3, 2, 1. There it is. That's the orbit of Venus as viewed from our location here in Muncie, Indiana. So Venus is only ever found along this path in the sky, this is how the planet appears to orbit the sun from our perspective on Earth. We'll never see Venus up here in the sky. We'll never see it over here in the sky. We'll only ever see Venus along this imaginary line right here. This is how Venus orbits the sun. That means we'll only ever see Venus right before sunrise if it's over here in its orbit, or after sunset if it's over here in its orbit. So let's go to sunset and see what it looks like tonight. And to do that and make it look more like what you will see in the real sky, let's turn back on our atmosphere, okay? And let's jump forward in time. We can go any time of day, any time of night with the software, remember. So let's jump forward by 1 hour. Okay, you might have seen the sun appear to shift a little bit in the sky as well as Venus. Let's go another hour. Again, they shifted in the sky and they're appearing to go towards the west where objects appear to set. And this motion is all due to the rotation of our planet. Earth is spinning out in space, and it makes it look like the sun appears to move in the sky, the planets, as well as the stars. So let's shift forward in time by minutes now and see objects appear to change. As the sun sets well below the horizon, we can start to see Venus now. Even with the atmosphere on, with the sun going down below the horizon, we can start to see it shine bright in the west. And we've been able to see bright Venus in the western sky for quite a while now. And you can see it tonight after sunset in the west, even before it gets completely dark. Well, let's make it go even later in the evening, and we'll be able to see other things in the sky, like some popular constellations, some constellations of the zodiac even. And one of those is visible in the southwest, right after sunset. If you go up, 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 you'll see a backwards question mark in the sky. The backwards question mark. Does anyone know what constellation this is a part of? So it has this kind of a mane. Here's the object's chest. There's a body back here and a tail. So this is actually the constellation of Leo the Lion. Leo the Lion, one of the constellations of the zodiac. If you have a really good imagination, you can connect all of those lines there of the stars that make up this constellation and imagine a lion there. But I do not have a good imagination. I just see a backwards question mark in the stars, and that's all you really need to be able to see to find Leo the Lion tonight. And if you can find the backwards question mark, you can find the bright star Regulus, the bottom of the question mark here. Now, Regulus looks like one star to us, but scientists have observed it with telescopes and they know for sure there are more stars there. It's a multiple star system. So some stars like our sun are pretty alone in the galaxy, but other stars orbit in pairs, or even more than 2 stars orbit about each other in multiple star systems. And we know that there's at least 4 stars in this area of the sky by Regulus. So there's more than 1 star here. They're gravitationally bound to one another in what we call multiple star systems. And there are more of those that we'll be exploring too later on in the short presentation. All right, so if we look even higher in the sky, we can see the Big Dipper. Right after sunset, look all the way up, almost right above your heads is going to be the Big Dipper. It has this handle. It has these 4 stars that make up its bowl. It's like a big spoon in the sky. Now, the Big Dipper is not a constellation, but a part of one. It's part of the constellation of Ursa Major, the Big Bear. And again, if you have a really good imagination, you can maybe see all of that. But you don't need to see all of that to find our next object in the sky. So if you can find the Big Dipper, you can use the handle here, this arc shape here of the Big Dipper, to help you find another star in the sky. Does anyone know what the handle leads to if you kind of follow it along its path here and extend it down? Well, there's a helpful hint to help you find or help you remember what it leads to. So this curved handle here, it's kind of like an arc, and you can follow the arc to the star down here, Arcturus. So arc to Arcturus, you just follow the arc or the curve of the handle of the Big Dipper to find Arcturus, which is in the constellation of Bootes, the herdsman. And if you continue on that path, if you follow that arc past Arcturus and go down, you can see another bright star, Spica. And Spica is a part of the constellation Virgo, the maiden, another constellation of the zodiac. Now, Virgo and Leo the lion here with the bright star Regulus kind of mark a location in the sky where scientists have been exploring and been finding many, many galaxies. They've been finding galaxies like M87 and exploring them up close, or as up close as they can get with the technology that we have here on Earth. So I'm going to use Stellarium. It has this nice search feature to find M87. That's the name of a galaxy outside of our own. And we can zoom in. So right now we don't see much, and you're not going to see much in this area in between Leo the lion and Virgo here. But with the help of telescopes, scientists have been able to see much more. So let's zoom in and see what they can see. So that's M87 there. That's about 50 million light years away. So the light that we observe from this galaxy here is about 50 million years old by the time it reaches scientists and their telescopes here on Earth. But we can use a telescope, or many telescopes actually, located all around the world to see deep within this galaxy, even though it's so far away. But it does take a huge telescope. So there's telescopes scattered all around the world, and they work together to essentially create one telescope about the size of Earth. And they can see deep in the core of this galaxy. And you might know what's found in the middle of most galaxies. Do you have a guess? Okay, so it's not planet Venus there, but it's a black hole. And this is an actual picture of a black hole taken with that, what we call Event Horizon Telescope project. So the Event Horizon Telescope project uses telescopes from all over the world to essentially create an Earth-sized telescope and see detail like this. They got the first picture of a black hole 50 million light years away. But just recently in the news, we learned about a black hole that's much, much closer. So not 50 million light years away, but 1,000 light years away within our own Milky Way galaxy. And 1,000 light years is still a pretty far distance, right? It's far away, right? It would take about 1,000 years to get to this system here. And this is just a recreation here. It would take us about 1,000 years to get there if we had the technology, a spacecraft that could travel the speed of light. And we do not have that. But if we did, it would still take us 1,000 years to explore this system. But through observation, we're able to tell that there's a black hole in this star system, a double star system. So a multiple star system, two stars that are orbiting. Here's their orbit lines, kind of about each other. They're gravitationally connected or bound to one another. And they're kind of affected by the orbit of something that you can't observe directly, at least not with the technology that we're using right now. So this, because they don't see anything there, but they see the gravitational effects of this on the other stars, they can infer, scientists can infer that there is a black hole here. And again, it's the closest black hole that's ever been discovered, 1,000 light years away, still very far away in this double star system called HR 6819. Well, we can't really observe that one in our sky from Muncie. It's a little bit too far south in the sky for us, but we can observe other things using Stellarium, and we'll do that later on this month. So as usual, we're wrapping up this week with trivia. We have some space trivia that's all about planet Venus. And we'll get those links to that trivia posted in the chat below so you can check it out. And if you get your quizzes in by 4:30 tonight, we can really be able to celebrate you all if you get maybe the highest score or the best accuracy in that. And we're also going to later tonight be showing part 2 of Dr. Ron Kachuk, our executive director's presentation on Venus. So if you checked out part 1 of that Venus presentation by Dr. Kachuk earlier this week, you'll want to check out the second presentation. And next week is all about planet Earth, and we have a lot of great presentations scheduled for that. So we hope to see you all soon. Take care, everyone. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below.